everybody, and a happy Friday to you. Welcome to my radio show with Rick Garcia. You
Hey-o.
are listening to us on AM 1220 and 98.1 FM. Hey, how you guys doing, Jessy? Patrick, how are you?
Hi.
Doing good.
Good. We would say hello to our Facebook Live folks at KHTS Radio. You don't see Jessy, you don't see me. We're practicing our social distancing. This is another home show, and hopefully we'll get a chance to get back in that studio soon. You can find my radio show on YouTube, the My Radio Show podcast, which is at hometownstation.com. And, of course, we always recommend downloading the KHTS radio app, where you can take us anywhere you want in the world and listen to our show. If you want to be part of the show, you can call us at 661-298-5487. Time for My Headlines.
My Headlines.
My headlines are brought to you by Frontier Toyota. For the first time in its 124-year history, the Boston Marathon is canceled. The race, originally scheduled for April 20th, was postponed due to the pandemic. Organizers will instead have a virtual event where runners who verify that they ran 26.2 miles on their own receive their finisher's medal. Major League Baseball is still hoping to get payroll concessions from its players before playing. The players have already agreed to a prorated salary. Owners now want steeper cuts, as much as 60% for top-paid players. So far, the Players Union is balking. The NBA Players Union leader says her players are ready to go, but that they need a level of certainty when it comes to safety amid the pandemic. The league is expected to issue new guidelines next week on how to resume the season. And the NHL's idea of resuming play would be to go straight to the playoffs. The league would expand the number of playoff teams from 16 to 24 and then hold a play-in tournament for the bottom 16 teams. Based on their regular season records, the Kings and the Ducks would not qualify for the postseason. That's the My Radio Show hotline. This man was the voice of the Los Angeles Kings Hockey Club for 44 years. He was honored by the Hockey Hall of Fame with the Foster Hewitt Memorial Award and as a member of the L.A. Kings Hall of Fame. Patrick, let's hear the tape.
Loose puck, Gretzky with it. Can't hold it. Taken away by Fox. Fox in front to the blue line to Harding. He shoots. Save. Rebound. Score!
Oh, that gives me chills. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show Bob Miller. Hello, Bob.
Hi, Rick. How are you?
Oh, it's so great to talk to you, Bob. Listen, you retired in 2017 after such an incredible career. If you were calling games this season, how do you think you'd be handling this virus-induced work stoppage?
I'd be climbing the walls, ready to get this thing going again. But actually, I have the pleasure of being retired, and staying at home is no hardship for me. In fact, that's what I've been doing for a couple of years, and I enjoy it. So it's a whole different situation, and I just hope, and I have my doubts about whether we're trying to come back with all of these sports much too soon. You know, I think Chip Kelly, the football coach at UCLA, said it best. If it's not safe for any fans to be in the stands to watch the games, why is it safe for the players, especially in contact sports?
Well, that's an interesting point. I know that there are players that actually go along with that. What do you think of the NHL's possible plan to resume hockey? They're talking about if we do this, that we'll just go straight to the playoffs.
Well, I think that's the way to do it, really. And I even have my doubts now. Do you really need to go to the playoffs and have all these players concentrated in two hub cities, of which Los Angeles is a candidate, but I don't know that it would be picked. But, there was no Gary Bettman canceled the whole season in 2004 and 5. No Stanley Cup playoffs, nothing. So I have my doubts as to why we are so anxious to have this Stanley Cup playoff this year. I know it's a tremendous trophy to win, but it's been canceled before in 1918 because of a flu pandemic, and so there's been precedent for just saying, look, let's end this season. Let's get started next year at the right time with the right amount of training camp, the right number of games, and everybody healthy, and have fans in the stands next season when we begin again. So, but they seem to have a real desire to present the Stanley Cup this year, and for some of the teams who had great seasons, I can see where they want to be involved. For the Kings, as you just mentioned, and the Ducks in your headlines, they've been eliminated now because the regular season is over.
Kings Hall of Famer Bob Miller on my radio show. Bob, you started back with the Kings in 1973, but you thought you had the job in 1972 when Jiggs McDonald left. What happened?
Well, Jack Kent Cooke got in the way, which he did in a lot of instances in his ownership of the Kings. Chick Hearn was the one who I had applied. He was in charge of finding a hockey announcer, and so I sent him some material. He called me back. I was doing University of Wisconsin hockey games at that time, and he said, I like your material, and you're my choice. So I thought, in 1972, I've got the job. And the months went by, and I didn't hear anything. And it was, I think, in August, somewhere around there, I was in Chicago for a Big Ten convention and ran into Don Anderson, who was the SID at USC. And I said, did the Kings name anybody yet? He said, yes, I saw it in the LA Times yesterday. They hired someone from KNX. And I thought, gee, I wonder what happened. So I called Chick later, and Chick was really upset. He said, you mean nobody contacted you and told you what happened? I said, no. So he was upset about that. He said, well, you were my pick. But Mr. Cooke said, I'm going to pick somebody else, a guy named Roy Story. And I think that's the way Mr. Cooke operated a lot of times, Rick. You know, if you suggested one guy, he would pick somebody else, in my opinion, just to show you I'm still the boss of this and I'm going to make the pick. And that's what he did. And then I understood from someone that they weren't happy with that pick, so I sent Chick some more material that if anything opens up, I'm still interested. And in 1973 in the summer, called me and said, come on out to L.A. and let's talk about your contract. So that's the way it happened.
And boy, were we lucky. Kings Hall of Fame broadcaster Bob Miller on my radio show. Bob, the Kings didn't win a cup with the actually, let me take you back. We had some great players back in the day. Marcel Dion, Rogie Vachon, who was my favorite player growing up, and then Bruce McNall takes over ownership, and that was followed by that huge trade that brought Wayne Gretzky to the Kings in 1988. What was the day like for you when you heard about that big trade?
Well, like most people, I couldn't believe that it was going to happen. I'd heard some rumors, and I had actually called Bruce McNall a few weeks before that, or a week before, trying to find out, is he going to sign him? But I didn't know whether to ask him that question or not. Maybe I was overstepping my bounds. But as we talked about how many games were going to be on TV and everything, I decided, well, I'm going to go for it. So I said, Bruce, are you going to sign Wayne Gretzky? And he said, tell me what you think of this. We're going to change our colors, going to change our uniforms, and the model of the new logo and uniform will be Wayne Gretzky. I said, if you pull that off, it'll be unbelievable. And he said, I think we're going to get it done. I couldn't believe it. So the Monday of the week that they announced it, I went into the forum, and Jerry West, who was then the GM of the Lakers, whispered to me, come here. So I went over, and he whispered in my ear, the deal is done. I said, how do you know that? He said, well, I played golf yesterday with someone who knows. The deal is done. I just thought in my head, this is going to move the Kings from a team that a lot of people did not care about necessarily, right to the top of the NHL in the entire North America, U.S. and Canada, in popularity, and it did. When they made that announcement, there were so many people calling for season tickets, they had to add extra people to answer the phones, and they would say, I need 4 season tickets. And the seller would say, we're not sure what the price will be. And the person would say, I don't care. Here's my credit card number. Put me down for 4 tickets. And that's the way it went because people wanted to see the greatest player in the history of the game, greatest scorer in the history of the game. So it was exciting with all the Hollywood people and celebrities showing up for Kings games.
You know, at that time, I was doing a sportscast in L.A. On TV, and very tongue-in-cheek, I would say, L.A. is a hockey town right after that trade. I'd say, L.A. is a hockey town because, as you know, hockey was sort of in the shadows of all the other sports in L.A. And the feeling at the time, Bob, was that, and you can tell me, this was kind of the theory or the and I don't want to say conspiracy theory, but there was a lot of chatter that the purpose of that deal, and it may have been orchestrated by the NHL, was to try to build an interest in the United States that would be comparable to Canada, and that it had to happen in Los Angeles. Do you think it was that well thought out, or was this just the case of a great trade on the part of the Kings?
Well, I'm not sure how much the NHL was involved in the trade, but the result was exactly what you mentioned, Rick. It moved the Kings to a priority position in the NHL, and it was headlined throughout the world. I say it was the greatest trade ever made because I don't know of another player who was that dominant in his sport in the prime of his career that got traded. People say, well, Babe Ruth was a pitcher with Boston. He wasn't the home run hitter we later knew with the Yankees, and there were some others in the NBA and NHL and NFL, but I don't think of players that had quite that impact that Gretzky had on his sport and his domination of his sport. So,
the Kings made it to their first Stanley Cup Finals in 1993 when they met Montreal. Now, was that the most excitement you had ever seen over the Kings in Southern California?
Yes, and I think today is the 30th anniversary of the win over Toronto in Game 7, which put the Kings in the Stanley Cup Final against Montreal in '93. And so this is kind of an anniversary day for that event. And that was a great series, the semifinal series with Toronto, where the Kings had to win to move to the Stanley Cup Final. And I'll tell you one little story. After the Kings did win that Game 7, we went to Montreal, and I went to the hotel to get my press credentials for the final. And coming down in the elevator afterwards, there was another woman in there and myself, the only two in there. And the woman said to me, "Can you tell me what is the Stanley Cup?" I thought, wait a minute, I'm in Montreal. They've won 24 of these things. I was looking for Alan Funt and Candid Camera in the elevator.
You thought you were being pranked. Kings Hall of Famer Bob Miller on my radio show. Bob, the Kings didn't win a cup with the great one, but they did win two in 2011 and 2012 in the 2013-2014 season. That was almost 40 years into your Kings career. What took you so long?
Oh, I'm just a slow learner of how to win those things, But that was really exciting. And, of course, the first one in 2012 just came out of nowhere because the Kings did not have a great season that year. Fired the coach in the middle of the year, brought in Darryl Sutter. And then when the playoffs started, just went right through all those divisions with a 3-0 lead in every series or through every series, a 3-0 lead, and won with a 16-4 record to win the Stanley Cup in the playoffs. And it was almost easy. I know it wasn't, but it seemed easy. And some of the players said, we didn't think it would be this easy. Well, 2 years later in 2014, it wasn't that easy because they had to come from a 3-0 deficit against San Jose to win that series and win 3 Game 7s in the first 3 rounds of that playoff year. So it was 2 different years for sure.
I say it all the time that, as a guy who grew up here in Southern California, that we have been blessed to have the most amazing play-by-play announcers on the planet. Vin Scully, of course, with the Dodgers, Chick Hearn with the Lakers, and you, Bob Miller, with the Kings. But, you were stuck sort of in the shadows of Vinny and Chicky Baby by virtue of the popularity of their sports. Did the three of you guys pal around?
Not so much. I mean, Chick was obviously a good friend, having gotten me the job with the Kings. We would talk on the phone, but I think what happened there, Vin would be off when we were playing, and we'd be playing when Vin was off, and he'd be working when we were off. So we didn't socially hang around, but I was friends with them and felt I could call them anytime, especially Chick, because we were working for the same person for many of those seasons, Jack Kent Cook. So I would call Chick and say, Chick, I got this situation, and he'd give me a little advice there. So I valued his friendship and his advice. I still see Vin around once in a while. We were on a TV panel show one time with Bill McDonald doing the interview, and it was Vin and Chick and myself. And at one point, there was a lull in the conversation, and I said to Bill McDonald, look at the rings on these two guys' fingers. And Vin held his up and said, this is the World Series, 1988. Chick said, this is the NBA Championship, 1987. Now the camera came to me, and we hadn't won anything then. So I held up my other hand and said, this is my wedding ring, 1963. So, a lot of people remember that.
Listen, that's a championship, Bob, by the way. Married
that's
that
right.
long.
Vin said, well, you got the best of all of us.
What do you think? Do you ever wonder? Because, and I mean this not because you're on the show. I've always thought that your work was among the greats when it comes to play-by-play. Do you ever think that things might have been different for you had you been a hockey announcer in, say, Boston or Chicago or Philadelphia?
Well, I think in my mind what would have happened there, I would have been having the opportunity to do more national telecasts because they seem to pick players from back or announcers from back in that area. But I really enjoyed being with one team for that many years. I don't know if I would have enjoyed traveling around to do two teams tonight, two more teams the next night, where I really didn't have a vested interest in whether they won or lost. I liked the fact that even though there were some peaks and valleys, that you were with one team and you were really invested in the success of that team or the team that did not have success. But I enjoyed that more than say, okay, I got a game tonight and I really don't care who wins. I wanted to go there and really be involved in the outcome of those games.
Listen, I want to, before I let you go, I want to give you a big thank you. I never had a chance to thank you for what was a real difficult moment for all of us when we lost a dear friend, sportscaster Stu Nahan, who was a huge hockey fan, as you know, and played hockey himself. And, when he passed away, you had to be the bearer of that news, and I remember listening to my voicemail and getting that message from you, and thinking, oh, what a rough moment that had to be for you, and knowing how much he meant to all of us, and I wanted to thank you for that. I never had a chance to say thanks, so I appreciate that.
Well, thank you very much. It was a sad day. He was a great friend, a great sportscaster here in L.A., and you mentioned he played hockey, and at his memorial, I said, he played hockey, and one game the scouts came to look at him, and he got beat 8-1, and he was so despondent, giving up that many goals, that he tried to commit suicide, and they all gasped. I said, yeah, he jumped in front of a bus, but it went right between his legs.
Well, trust me, we never could get enough of reminding him of the fact that he played when they didn't wear masks as a keeper, as a goaltender. So,
right.
Listen, Bob, we miss you. Thank you for all the great Kings memories, ladies and gentlemen. Kings Hall of Fame announcer Bob Miller on my radio show with Rick Garcia. Thank you, Bob. Take care.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, coming up, you want baseball highlights? We have them coming up in Rick's replay, but you better bring an interpreter. Plus, the time Charles Barkley was drunk while playing an NBA game. And we're going to give away some free stuff. You're listening to my radio show with Rick Garcia.
Why did Mercedes-Benz of Valencia win the Dealer of Excellence Award in 2019?
Because we strive to provide the most outstanding sales experience.
Mercedes-Benz of Valencia COO Chris Paz.
We know you have high expectations. Our stellar team will meet and exceed your expectations. That's why we were named Mercedes Best of the Best, placing us in the top 10% of all Mercedes dealers nationwide.
Find out how you can lease a new Mercedes for unbelievably low monthly payments. Details at mbzvalencia.com.
Loss of hearing can affect the quality of life. Santa Clarita Hearing Center can help. They specialize in both preventative hearing loss and corrective measures, including diagnostic tests, new technology hearing aids, cochlear implants, hearing protection, and tinnitus treatment. They can adjust your current hearing aids or fit you for new ones. Santa Clarita Hearing Center also offers sleep molds, swim molds, and musician monitors. Book an appointment today. Log on to SantaClaritaHearingCenter.com. Located on McBean Parkway next to the hospital. That's SantaClaritaHearingCenter.com.
Hometown.
All day long, constantly.
Your hometown station, 98.1 FM and AM 1220. Hometown.
Santa Clarita News.
Your community connection.
Restaurants reopening and LA County school guidelines. I'm Jade Abashan. In-person dining, barbershops, and hair salons are now allowed to reopen in Los Angeles County as of Friday afternoon after California Governor Gavin Newsom approved the county's variance request. This move comes after a request from the city of Santa Clarita to Supervisor Catherine Barker and the Board of Supervisors to allow for a variance to reopen. Restaurants are held to the same guidelines that apply to places of worship and indoor shopping centers, with the number of people allowed in an establishment limited to less than 25% of the building's capacity or a maximum of 100 people, whichever is lower. The Los Angeles County Office of Education has released guidelines regarding public schools reopening, including requiring masks and hybrid classes. Both staff and students are expected to arrive at the schools wearing cloth face coverings and to wear them all day, according to the office's guidelines. While hybrid classes are preferred, in-person classes are encouraged to use outdoor spaces, weather permitting, to allow more students to be spread apart. For more on these stories and other local news, head on over to hometownstation.com. And now taking a look at your local hometown weather. We've got a little bit of rain today, which will gradually taper off with big temperature swings expected for the rest of the day. Highs in low 80s and overnight lows in the mid-50s. For anything Santa Clarita related, follow us on social media at KHTS Radio.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.
Welcome back to my radio show. I'm Rick Garcia. Jessy Holland is here. Patrick
Hello.
Sweeka.
Heyo.
Patrick, let me do this real quickly. Oh, by the way, we are doing the home show.
Yes, we are.
Which begs the question, what are you wearing?
The feedback on that one.
So as we all know, when you're working out of your house, you can pretty much wear anything or nothing at all, right? When you're doing, who's gonna
I don't really want to paint that picture of you right now, Rick, but thanks.
So, well, I don't blame you, Patrick. All right, Jessy, what are you wearing?
I am wearing some Nike shorts and a college shirt. So same very classy clothes as usual.
Okay, so what's the college shirt? What would it be? Your college?
My alma mater, Coe College in Iowa. Woo-woo! Shout out to Coe.
Woo-hoo. Well, by the way, what is Coe College's nickname?
It's Coe, C-O-E. That's the name. Daniel
Well, no, that's
Coe,
the name of the college, but the nickname of the team. Were you the Lancers? Were you the Apricots?
We're the Cohawks.
The apricots?
You're the what?
Fruit?
The Cohawks?
Cohawks? Yes.
As in Mohawk? Cohawk?
Correct. That is very
Really? Okay. All right, the Cohawks. All right, I'm in my usual gym shorts with my Adidas short sleeve gym shirt, no socks and sandals, and I did not shave.
Ooh.
All right, let's see what Patrick's wearing. The Facebook Live folks can see him on KHTS Radio.
You can see me on Facebook Live.
I'm going to mute my phone for a second so I can check out Patrick. Hang on.
Hold on, I'm posing too. So, and then let me do this too, just to get the full effect.
Yeah, so I had to hit the mute button because I walked over to the computer and it's blasting, and so I didn't want to get feedback. Patrick, you're just as unimpressive this week as you were last week.
Unimpressive? I was wearing a LeBron James jersey last. Are you telling me the Lakers are unimpressive? Is that what you're telling me?
No, I think it's the model I'm talking about, not the clothes.
Oh.
Wait,
Ouch.
I'm sorry. Well, I'm sorry. Was my mic on? Jessy, if folks want to be part of the show, how can they do that?
Yes, if you're listening at home, you can post us on Facebook at KHTS Radio or give us a call at 661-298-5487.
Excellent. Time for Rick's replay.
Rick's replay.
이건 기록일 뿐인 거고. 그리고 잡아당겼습니다. 우익수 뒤로 오른쪽 타구는 하나 기선제압 솔로 홈런 1대 0으로 한화는 한화 이글스입니다.
Well, there you go. Highlights from the Korean Baseball Organization. I could make out 2 words. I made out 2 words, or no, 3 words. Did you hear those? What the 3 words were?
No. I'm trying to do like auto translate in my head.
Solo home run. Those are highlights as someone from the Hanwha Eagles hit a solo home run, but it wasn't enough as the LG Twins defeated the Eagles by a score of 15-4. Let's hear the highlight of that home run again, Patrick.
All right.
이건 기록일 뿐인 거고. 그리고 잡아당겼습니다. 우익수 뒤로 오른쪽 타구는 하나 기선제압 솔로 홈런 1대 0으로 한화는 한화 이글스입니다.
Okay, I heard it that time.
Did you hear that time?
Yeah, I heard it that time.
And it sounded like, and I don't speak Korean, but it sounded like he was saying something to the effect of, he's going back, it's gone. Solo home run. I don't know.
Probably? That's probably an Americanized translation of it.
All right, here's what's news to me.
News to me.
All right, here's an interesting story. Charles Barkley is not one to be afraid to talk. He's an open book, pretty much. One of these days, I'll share my quick little story of the time that I shared with Charles. But he apparently is now admitting that during a game in 1992, he played drunk.
Oh, my.
Drunk as a skunk, as they say. But here's the deal. Well, here's what happened. He was drunk because he thought he'd been traded to the Lakers. His agent called him in the morning and said, "Hey, you're being sent to the Lakers," and so Barkley was so excited that he just started drinking. It was like at noon. His agent called him in the morning. It was noon, and he started drinking like a fish. And so then he gets a call later. He's on cloud 9 when his agent calls him back. 3 hours later, it's like 3:30. And the agent said the Sixers backed out of the deal.
Oh, no.
So he was drunk, and so people are trying now to do their forensic investigations now, trying to figure out which game was it. And so some folks are now theorizing that the game took place on February 12th of 1992 versus the Nets when he had a triple single. He had 6 points, 6.7 assists, and 9 rebounds. Huh. There you have it.
Man, that's terrible, Rick. That's terrible.
Well, that's close. That is close, Pat.
That is pretty close.
Charles Barkley, ladies and gentlemen.
Another one.
I didn't know this. This is why we call this segment, it's news to me. I didn't know this, but if you go to Great Britain, if you ever go to the UK, and generally speaking, if you wanted to order eggs, or you want to go to the market and buy eggs, all the eggs are brown.
Huh.
What?
They're all brown. Now,
you mean like the shell?
Yeah, the shell they're brown. And, out here, a majority of our eggs are the white-shelled eggs. But because of the coronavirus lockdown, there's been a surge in sales of eggs. I know we're eating a lot of eggs over here because, they're so versatile. But what happened is in the UK, they stopped buying white-shelled eggs way back in the 70s. They switched to brown eggs because they were viewed as being larger and healthier. Huh. So now there's like a big a run on the brown eggs. So they've got a bunch of white-shelled eggs in the UK. Now here's why I find this interesting. Other than the reason I find this interesting is up until recently I never even considered brown eggs. But then there was a run on eggs in our local markets.
Right.
So I went to Whole Foods one time, and I couldn't find any white-shelled eggs. I didn't buy the brown-shelled eggs. Huh. I came home to my wife, and I said, I didn't get eggs because they didn't have any of the white-shelled eggs. she said, well, why didn't you get the brown shell eggs? I said, I don't know. They just looked so unusual to me. I didn't trust them. I didn't want to take a chance. And my wife says, they taste the same. It's just the same thing. It tastes exactly the same.
Okay, Mr. Green Eggs and Ham over here.
There you go. Have you never given it any thought? Have either one of you ever cracked open a
Yes.
brown shelled egg?
Yes, I have actually. We've had white and brown shelled eggs. Honestly, like, because they were in my house and like we were cooking eggs and for breakfast. I saw it. I didn't even think about it, and I just ate it. And I'm like, it's the same thing. I never even like once thought like it's a brown egg. Ugh. It was just like, oh, it's an egg. It like I'm like looking at my mom like, is that an actual egg? She's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, cool. And then I ate it. And I'm like, yeah. Nothing.
Oh my gosh.
I hope you broke open the shell first.
Well, yeah, of course, of course.
I've only had brown-shelled eggs on a farm. So when I think of like brown-shelled eggs, I think of like a farmer. I don't ever buy them from the store.
See, there you have it. It's unusual to some folks, and in Great Britain, there's some goofy guy like me over there going, is that egg good? It's got a white shell. Or those more like, hello, governor. Is that egg going to be tasty?
Excuse me.
Go on, man. Is that a brown egg there? Go on then.
Listen, here's another one that I find interesting is we have plenty of missiles in our country, more than we need. There's no question about that. They're trying to figure out new ways to how would I say, power their missiles. And apparently scientists at Los Alamos National Labs have created a new formulation of fuel that uses feedstocks, which basically is corn. So we've heard about corn as fuel in the past. There's been talk about methanol or ethanol, I should say. And apparently it's a renewable fuel and a lot cheaper to use. So it's possible that very soon our missiles are going to be powered by corn, ladies and gentlemen. All right.
Interesting.
That's going to be cool.
I didn't say they were great news stories. I just said it was news to me. All right?
Yeah, no, that's true.
Are you ready to give away some free stuff?
Free stuff.
The first person to call 661-298-5487 or message us on Facebook Live at KHTS Radio with the right answer to my question will win a $25 gift card from Hanu Coffee. We just had on a wonderful announcer on our show as a guest. LA sports teams have had some legendary people call play-by-play. This guy did LA Kings play-by-play for 44 years. Is he Chick Hearn, Vin Scully, Bob Miller, or Caesar Flickerman? If you're the first person to call us with the right answer, it's 661-298-5487, or you post us first on Facebook Live at KHTS Radio with the right answer. You win a $25 gift card from Hanu Coffee. LA sports teams have had some legendary announcers. This guy did LA Kings play-by-play for 44 years. Is he Chick Hearn, Vin Scully, Bob Miller, or Caesar Flickerman? Coming up, it's one of the more quoted lines from the Star Wars franchise, but it wasn't filmed that way. Plus, the time that Adam Sandler was almost choked out while filming a movie. You're listening to my radio show with Rick Garcia. Time for My Headlines.
My Headlines.
My headlines are brought to you by Frontier Toyota. For the first time in its 124-year history, the Boston Marathon is canceled. The race, originally scheduled for April 20th, was postponed due to the pandemic. Organizers will instead have a virtual event where runners who verify they ran 26.2 miles on their own receive finishers' medals. Major League Baseball is still hoping to get payroll concessions from its players before playing. The players have already agreed to a prorated salary. Owners now want steeper cuts, as much as 60% for top-paid players. So far, the Players' Union is balking. The NBA Players Union leader says her players are ready to go, but that they need a level of certainty when it comes to safety amid the pandemic. The league is expected to issue new guidelines next week on how to resume the season. And the NHL's idea of resuming play would be to go straight to the playoffs. The league would expand the number of playoff teams from 16 to 24 and then hold a play-in tournament for the bottom 16 teams. Based on their regular season records, the Kings and Ducks would not qualify for postseason. Are you not entertained?
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
In a Hollywood Minute.
Always love that.
So here's, I always love when these little bits, these little nuggets of trivia come out regarding your favorite films and your favorite franchises. In the case of Star Wars, there's a very famous line, might be the most famous, or at least the most, I'd say, popular quoted line from the Star Wars franchise, that actually when they did the film, they didn't do the line. They did a different line and then dubbed in this real line later. They did that for the purpose of not giving away plot to the cast and the crew. There's a point in the film where one of the let's just say the important villain, he says these words. He says before I go to Darth Vader, this is the line that came out when they were filming the movie in front of the crew. He said, "You don't know the truth. Obi-Wan killed your father." But the line as we know it was this:
"No, I am your father."
Wait.
It's about as deep as I could go.
I don't think he said no.
No, he did.
He said Luke.
No, that's the misconception right there.
He said, "Luke, I am your father."
No, that's the popularized what everybody thinks, but it's not actually the true line of that. And I know that because one, I've seen that movie many times. Also, if I were to say that, our very own Andrew Delgado would come back here and say, "No, Patrick, it's no, I am your father." He's already corrected me once before on that.
Thank you, George Lucas. Can you do that same? Can you do that same impression? But give me the heavy breathing, please.
No, I am your father.
That gave me the chills. I'm not gonna sleep tonight. Jesse, did that scare you?
Was that actually? I kind of embodied that for a second. I even felt that. I was like, "Whoa, did that just come out of me?"
Yeah, you just scared me.
I just scared myself with my impression.
Listen, talk about great lines. This is the line. There's another movie that it's loaded with some good lines. Clearly, it's not on the level of Star Wars, but in the John Wick franchise, apparently there was a plot line that almost didn't make the movie. And what's really important about the first John Wick, he's an assassin who falls in love, decides he's going to get married and settle down and leave the world of assassins, and so he does that. Sadly, I'm not going to give too much away, but the movie's been out for years. His wife passes away. You don't see any of that. You kind of start where the wife had just passed away, is how the film starts. And these Russian gangsters want to take John Wick's car from him. They don't know how bad and tough he is. So they take the car and they shoot the guy's puppy dog. And the puppy dog arrived at his doorstep the day after his wife's funeral. She sent it to him as a way to keep him company. So part of his revenge all revolves around the fact that these mobsters stole his car and they killed his dog. That scene wasn't going to be in the movie because the directors and producers, somebody thought it was a bad idea and it was just too, insensitive. But it was such an important part of the whole plot that finally they forced that one in there. Do you know any lines from John Wick, Patrick or Jesse?
No, I don't actually.
I don't.
Okay, so in the first movie, my favorite line from the whole franchise is, Keanu Reeves keeps being asked the same question throughout this movie, and by the end of the movie, he answers it this way: "People keep asking me if I'm back, and I haven't really had an answer. But now, yeah, I'm thinking I'm back." Where's my applause? That was Keanu Reeves. Do I get any applause for that? Thank you.
That wasn't that bad of a Keanu Reeves.
Thank you very much. That was Keanu Reeves in genre. Now I'm thinking I'm back.
Now I'm thinking I'm back.
Thank you. You and I, the three of us have talked about this. I don't think you guys had a chance to see the movie Uncut Gems starring Adam Sandler.
I did not.
Not yet.
It's a great dramatic role for him. So don't watch it if you're looking for vintage comedic Sandler. I don't love Adam Sandler's comedy, but as a dramatic actor, I think he's got chops. And so he plays this. He plays an impulsive, gambling-addicted jeweler in this movie, and he's really good in it. But he gets beat up in this movie pretty good. Gets beat up a lot. Apparently, they had a couple of these big thugs who were playing his playing these henchmen, these loan sharks that were coming to get his money. And apparently, I don't think they were bodyguards who came in and their scene was to kind of rough him up. And so he really wanted them to make it look real. So they almost choked him out. He was almost choked out in the movie because he really wanted it to look like a real scene. and so Uncut Gems, if you ever look at it, you'll recognize the scene where he's just about gets taken out. Here's what's on demand now, you guys, in case you're looking for something to watch this weekend while we're still in our kind of have to stay away from the movie theaters. The Road's Not Taken is rated R. It's a drama. It's an hour and 26 minutes. Javier Bardem, Elle Fanning, and Salma Hayek. A man and his daughter grapple with the challenges of her father's chaotic mind as they weave their way through New York City. The father's journey takes on a hallucinatory quality as he floats through alternate lives that he could have lived. And then, of course, you've probably seen this nonstop on TV if you're watching any TV. The High Note. It's rated PG-13. It's a drama/musical. It's an hour and 53 minutes. The cast is Dakota Johnson and Tracy Ellis Ross. Maggie's an overworked personal assistant who's stuck running errands for an ego-driven music artist, but Maggie aspires to her childhood dream of becoming a music producer, and she comes up with a plan that could change their lives forever.
Whoa.
It's got Jessy written all over it.
It does have Jessy written over it.
That has Jessy written all over it.
Yes, it does.
You guys, any movies you guys think you want to share that you've seen recently? Online, old movies or otherwise?
Sure. I mean, I saw Avengers Infinity War with obviously not for the first time for me, but first time for my mom. We're giving her the whole Marvel train. She still hasn't seen Endgame yet, so nothing on. Don't say nothing of anything. She's just just finished Infinity War.
I'm gonna say this. What a great mom, because I'm guessing like my wife just puts up with those movies.
She likes it. She's hooked.
Well, good for her. Doing the Marvel, that's great. That's because then something the whole family obviously can watch if you can get past the silliness of comic movies, which I happen to like a lot too.
Yeah.
How about you, Jessy? Anything?
Mm-hmm. I haven't seen any movies. I started some series. I started Dead to Me on Netflix, which is really good. Not a family show, but it's some drama, some mystery. So that's been keeping me entertained.
You know, for me, I saw a great article. It was Netflix ranked like the top 25 thrillers that they're showing right now. And so I've seen a couple of them. One I won't recommend on the air just because it's a little racy. It's more, but anyway, but well done. But I will mention the other one, which is called Hush. And it's basically the story of a woman who's a writer, but she's also a deaf mute. So she can't speak, she can't hear. And so she goes to a cabin to try to help her writer's block, and needless to say, somebody attempts to break in.
Oh, snap.
Yes, I liked it. Coming up, one NBA star says if the league does resume the season, he'll only play under one condition. Plus, Kings Hall of Fame announcer Bob Miller shares his thoughts with us on the NHL's plan to begin playing again. You're listening to my radio show with Rick Garcia.
Frontier Toyota, a proud supporter of my radio show with Rick Garcia, serving the Santa Clarita Valley for over 30 years. Experience Frontier Toyota's all-new hot and exciting 2020 Toyota lineup. Frontier Toyota, the Camry, Corolla, and Prius Kings. They're tops in Tacoma and Tundra trucks. Frontier Toyota, the new way of car buying. Shop from home at frontiertoyota.com or visit their showroom at Valencia and Creekside. Discover a whole new car buying experience with your friends at Frontier Toyota.
We all know sometimes people lose their way. If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction, the Way Out Recovery SCV may have the answers you've been waiting for. The Way Out is the premier intensive outpatient treatment center serving Santa Clarita. Asking for help is the first step. Call The Way Out today, 661-296-4444. That's 296-4444 for a private free assessment. The Way Out is an accredited, affordable outpatient program that accepts most insurance. Call us at 661-296-4444 or check us out online at thewayoutrrecoveryscv.com. Quit battling with yourself. Ask the way out for help today.
KHTS AM 1220 and 98.1 FM Santa Clarita. It's 2 o'clock. Time for national news on KHTS.
Will it stop Minneapolis from burning? I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. The now former cop who kneeled on George Floyd's neck during his deadly arrest on Monday is now under arrest himself.
Former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin has been charged by the Hennepin County Attorney's Office with murder and with manslaughter.
County prosecutor Mike Freeman says there may be subsequent charges later. 3 other officers who were also fired remain under state and federal investigation as well. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz has the National Guard and state police on duty after a third night of violent protests left hundreds of buildings damaged or destroyed, many by fire.
This has obviously been the most difficult week in Minnesota in recent history and maybe in our entire history.
But he says order has to be restored so the causes can be addressed. Former President Barack Obama says this shouldn't be normal in 2020 America, calling for an end to the legacy of unequal treatment. His former Vice President Joe Biden says real police reform is needed.
This is a national crisis. We need real leadership right now. Leadership that will bring everyone to the table so we can take measures to root out systemic racism.
The presumptive Democratic nominee swiping at President Trump during a live-streamed event for a tweet that was also flagged by Twitter for appearing to suggest that looters would be shot. The president later tweeting he meant looting leads to shooting and criticizing violent protests as not honoring Floyd's memory. The Trump campaign putting out its own statement accusing the media and Democrats of twisting the president's words and seizing on a horrific event to divide the nation for political opportunity and profit. The president following through on a threat to terminate the U.S. relationship with the World Health Organization, accusing it of siding too often with China in the response to the coronavirus outbreak. He says the U.S. funding will be redirected to help others meet urgent global health needs. America is listening to Fox News.
With uncertainty in these times, here's something that is certain. Now save money on your wireless bill with great customer service when you switch to Pure Talk USA. Now plans start at $20 a month depending on how much data you need. All plans have unlimited talk and text. And Pure Talk covers 99% of Americans. They're confident that you're going to love their service. They have a 1-month risk-free guarantee, 50% off your first month. Just dial pound 250 on your cell, say the keyword save now. Pound 250, keyword save now.
Bria's Fashion Boutique is the worst. First they asked me if I needed help finding anything. Just because I'm gorgeous doesn't mean I need help.
No matter how hard you work for your small business, online reviewers will find something to complain about.
Then they tell me they're having a sale. Oh, so you're assuming I'm poor. Cool.
And while Progressive can't save you from these trolls, we can help you save money on commercial auto and business insurance.
Also, they tried to give me the friends and family discount. I'm not your friend, so...
Get a quote online today at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliated and third-party insurers.
President Trump raising the stakes in the U.S. pushback against China's crackdown on Hong Kong, where protests continue.
Once again, the people of Hong Kong are fighting for freedom. Amid the tear gas and the pepper spray that was fired today, they're trying to hold back China's authority, and they're looking to the U.S. for help. But the passing of the new security bill yesterday shattered their hopes. It means Chinese intelligence agencies can set up bases in Hong Kong and arrest anyone for insulting China. The move has forced the US to declare Hong Kong is no longer autonomous. Hong Kong has told the US not to interfere, warning that withdrawing the global financial hub's special status could backfire on the US economy.
Fox's Benjamin Hall. But the president announcing sanctions on Hong Kong officials helping to erode autonomy, also taking aim at foreign nationals accused of trying to steal research.
Today I will issue a proclamation to better secure our nation's vital university research and to suspend the entry of certain foreign nationals from China who we have identified as potential security risks.
But he did not scrap the Phase 1 trade deal with China, which seemed to relieve Wall Street, the Dow dropping just 17 points after being down more than 300. It's an especially rough time to be a college grad looking for work.
Zumper releasing its list of the best cities for college graduates in 2020.
Despite challenges amid the coronavirus pandemic, reps for the rental website say they analyzed data from 100 U.S. cities, ranking them based on 7 different metrics, including the population of folks 20 to 34 years old, the population of non-married individuals, the median income of folks 25 years old or younger, and the average price of a one-bedroom rental.
Fox's Kristen Goodwin, the top 3, Salt Lake City, Raleigh, and San Francisco. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News.
Frontier Toyota, a proud supporter of my radio show with Rick Garcia, serving the Santa Clarita Valley for over 30 years. Experience Frontier Toyota's all-new hot and exciting 2020 Toyota lineup. Frontier Toyota, the Camry, Corolla, and Prius Kings. They're tops in Tacoma and Tundra trucks. Frontier Toyota, the new way of car buying. Shop from home at frontiertoyota.com or visit their showroom at Valencia and Creekside. Discover a whole new car buying experience with your friends at Frontier Toyota.
Save water and save money. SCV Water wants to help you find your fit and take advantage of conservation rebate programs that will help you save. Water your landscape more efficiently. Replace your lawn with water-wise plants. Conduct free in-home water surveys. Cover your swimming pool and more. Find the programs that fit your needs and start saving today. Visit conserve.yourscvwater.com to learn more.
That's conserve.yourscvwater.com. Did you hear this? A Royal Suite Home Furnishings. Their Memorial Day sale is so big, they had to extend it all the way through Sunday. Yeah, this Sunday. Save 56% throughout the store on mattresses, dining sets, sofas, sectionals, recliners, bedroom sets, kids' furniture, and more. Take advantage of convenient curbside pickup. For over 40 years, Royal Suite Home Furnishings has supported the Santa Clarita community. Now it's our turn to shop local, all while saving 56%. Visit today for convenient curbside pickup at a Royal Suite Home Furnishings near Sam's Club.
Here at Story with your hometown station weather, a mix of sun and clouds today with highs in the low 80s. For anything and everything Santa Clarita Valley related, including the latest on COVID-19 here in the Santa Clarita area, go to hometownstation.com.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.
My Radio Show with Rick Garcia is coming to you live from your hometown station, KHTS AM 1220 and 98.1 FM in Old Town Newhall, California. Now, My Radio Show with Rick Garcia.
Crank it up, DJ.
Ooh.
Come on, what day is it? You guys know what day it is, don't you?
It's Friday, sir.
Friday. Friday. Everybody's gonna get up and have a great time, and we're gonna ease into life again. We got to ease into it. Don't get carried away, folks. Don't go over the top. Just kind of ease into to seeing people again. We just have to see them in a different way. I'm Rick Garcia. The name of the show, My Radio Show with Rick Garcia. She's Jessy Holland. Hey, Jessy.
Hello, hello, hello.
We're doing the home show, and then he is Patrick Suika.
Hey-o.
Hey, Patrick.
It is a Patty over here. It's your boy.
Well, My Radio Show, you can find us on AM 1220 and 98.1 FM. Also, hello to our Facebook Live folks. I mentioned we're doing a home show, but you can see Patrick there in the studio. Soon we will be in that studio, sometime very soon, we hope.
Yes.
You can find us on Facebook Live if you choose at KHTS Radio. My Radio Show can be found on YouTube, the My Radio Show podcast, which is at your hometownstation.com, and we always recommend the KHTS Radio app. I always say this jokingly. You can listen to us everywhere, anywhere in the world. I really mean it. That's not jokingly. We've tested that, so it works. You can take us anywhere with you and listen to this show. If you want to be part of the show, post us at Facebook Live at KHTS Radio, or call us at 661-298-5487. Time for My Headlines.
My Headlines.
My headlines are brought to you by Frontier Toyota. For the first time in its 124-year history, the Boston Marathon is canceled. The race, originally scheduled for April 20th, was postponed due to the pandemic. Organizers will instead have a virtual event where runners who verify they ran 26.2 miles on their own receive their finisher's medal. Major League Baseball is still hoping to get payroll concessions from its players before playing. The players have already agreed to a prorated salary. Owners now want to see steeper cuts, as much as 60% for top paid players. So far, the Players Union is balking. The NBA Players Union leader says her players are ready to go, but that they need a level of certainty when it comes to safety amid the pandemic. The league is expected to issue new guidelines next week on how to resume the season. And the NHL's idea of resuming play would be to go straight to the playoffs. The league would expand the number of playoff teams from 16 to 24 and then hold a play-in tournament for the bottom 16 teams based on their regular season records. The Kings and Ducks would not qualify for the postseason. Listen, Jessy, Patrick, it looks like we're getting closer to professional sports showing up on our TV sometime soon.
Yep.
We won't be able to go as spectators.
Thank goodness,
but we can
indeed.
watch. So here's hockey's plan if it happens. I just touched on it a little bit. You would take all your conference leaders. They would automatically be in the playoffs. And what they're going to do is they're going to go from 16 to 24 playoff teams to allow them to the purpose of this is that the feeling is when the season got suspended, there were teams within striking distance of making the playoffs. So to make it fair for them, they thought, well, what we'll do is we'll take the top 4 teams in each conference, ranked by points percentage. And those teams will go into a round robin, and they'll just play each other to determine seeding in the first round of the playoffs. They'll take the remaining 16 teams that they're going to invite for a run at the playoffs, and they'll all play each other to try to get those final playoff spots. Those teams that are not among the ones that I just mentioned, including the Kings and Ducks, their season would be finished. Here's what Hall of Fame announcer for the Kings, Bob Miller, thinks about this. What do you think of the NHL's possible plan to resume hockey? They're talking about if we do this, that we'll just go straight to the playoffs.
Well, I think that's the way to do it, really. And I even have my doubts now. Do you really need to go to the playoffs and have all these players concentrated in 2 hub cities, of which Los Angeles is a candidate, but I don't know that it would be picked. But Gary Bettman canceled the whole season in 2004 and 5. No Stanley Cup playoffs, nothing. So I have my doubts as to why we are so anxious to have this Stanley Cup playoff this year. I know it's a tremendous trophy to win, but it's been canceled before in 1918 because of a flu pandemic. So there's been precedent for just saying, look, let's end this season. Let's get started next year at the right time with the right amount of training camp, the right number of games, and everybody healthy, and have fans in the stands next season when we begin again.
That's Hall of Fame announcer Bob Miller of the LA Kings and his thoughts on it. Thinking maybe, you know what, just forget it this year and move on to next season. What do you guys think? Jessy?
I think he brought up a good point that I had never thought of in the interview about why do we expect the players to come back if the fans can't even come back, and the players are the ones, chest to chest with someone or shoulder to shoulder, and I had never really thought about that. So I agree with him. I think, what's the rush? Why don't we start fresh at the beginning of the next season and give the players this time to make sure that they're healthy and secure to be able to come back next season for sure.
How about you, Patrick?
Yeah, because, I'm kind of agreeing with that, too. I could make an argument that, why not just start fresh so we can, get everybody all ready. We'll have a full season, a little more rest. It's pushing it back a little bit more, but then we're starting right on time. Why rush into this whole, round-robin type situation of a playoff into a Stanley Cup? And not just that, but it could be like that for, basketball, too. It's why rush into that when we can also just start up in, maybe, a couple more months once we get past this pandemic stuff.
Listen, I agree with the both of you and Bob Miller that really health has to be the top consideration.
Yeah.
What's the rush? I get it. We're all anxious. We're all losing our minds, being cooped up, and we're going to start opening up, and it would be... Now, listen, the truth is, I've found other things to do, and I'm a sports nut, but I've found other things to do that have kept me busy.
True.
Here's the thing, though, that the reason I think it works more in hockey than just about anywhere else is they are covered head to toe, man, from skates to helmet. They're covered. They wear gloves. They have a face shield. I mean, they're almost. I mean, they almost have better covers than the doctors do on the front lines, man. They're completely covered. You just make that shield go a little longer. Where they get into a little trouble is when they throw down the gloves and start start punching each other. That's the part. So I think if you're gonna make an attempt at one, that hockey is one that seems to make sense to me. Now, you want to talk about the NBA because that's one where I think I'd be more torn because remember the first announcements of professional athletes came when we learned about NBA players having COVID-19, testing positive for COVID-19. These guys are in the best shape of just about any human on the planet, basketball players. I mean, they have amazing hearts and conditioning, and they're incredible. And we saw a lot of them go down to COVID-19. I mean, fortunately, nobody died, but some players got pretty sick. So here's what they're planning if they reopen. And this is a Mark Cuban suggestion, the owner of the Dallas Mavericks. He believes that you should put all 30 teams back on the regular season. Don't do what hockey's doing. Don't just make it the playoff contenders. Put everybody in. And what he's saying is, first of all, you reward the top 10 teams from each conference based on their regular season record. So, the teams that were already in the hunt for the playoffs, who were like in the the top 8 seeds in each conference, they automatically qualify for the playoffs. Then he said, take all the remaining NBA teams and let them play each other to try to get 2 extra seeds to get into the playoffs. I think that's a pretty cool idea. So you're kind of doing a play-in game. You're going to expand the playoffs, so you'll add a couple extra teams, and you let everybody that probably wasn't going to make the playoffs can all battle it out for 2 extra spots to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, I like
that. I think that's a cool plan.
Yep, I like that too.
If you don't, here's the problem. If you do not include all the teams, then you have an NBA star player like Damian Lillard, for example, who plays for Portland, who said, you know what, if the NBA is going to start the regular season and we're just going to play a couple of remaining games, and the teams that we're going to go to the playoffs, we already kind of know who they are, they're going to go to the playoffs, then why are the rest of us going to go take the risk, go out there and play for a bunch of meaningless games unless we have a shot to go to the playoffs? So his belief is, I don't want to play unless there's a chance to go to the playoffs. What do you think, Jessy?
Yeah. It goes back to what you talked about a few weeks ago, or maybe even last week, about how this whole pandemic is going to create interesting conversations in the locker rooms, because some players might be so desperate and longing to be back on the court regardless of health, but then you have players like Lillard who are thinking of the bigger picture and the health. And if I were in a professional athlete's shoes, as much as I would be craving my sport, I think I would side with Lillard at the end of the day, because I'd rather sit out right now than be sick and then prolong the process later on.
Listen, I mentioned the discourse that you're going to have, and this is what really bugs me about this whole pandemic thing is that the idiots who are supposed to be the adults in the room have decided to make this a political issue, and this is on both sides. So I'm going to tell you right now, I'm on the middle and where that's concerned. This whole idea that if you wear a mask, you're this political denomination. If you don't wear a mask, come on, people, knock it off. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
If somebody wants to do something that makes them more comfortable and you don't, fine. But here's the thing. You get into a locker room where you have to have a solid bond. These guys are not the same religiously. They're not the same politically. They don't necessarily hang out with each other all the time. But when it comes to playing a game or playing a sport, it's an engine, man. It's a well-oiled machine. And I'm just telling you, this thing here, it's become a political wedge, is going to mess up some locker rooms. And I hate seeing that. I just hate it that we can't respect, somebody's, feeling that I need to get out there. I need to get back to work. You just have to respect that. And if another person says, listen, I've got an ill family member, or we've talked about this, my parents are elderly, I'm going to be more cautious. Well, then you respect that too. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to be, you win or I win. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Lillard is willing to take the chance. He's willing to step on the court. Now, NBA players have a reason to be shy. Rudy Gobert and then a several other players eventually we know have tested positive, probably more that we haven't heard about. So, I can understand his reluctance to say, you know what, I don't want to go on the court if there's nothing more than, hey, we're going to play 6 games, then I got to go back home because I can't. I'm not going to the playoffs. True. So, I don't blame him at all. Did you guys watch the match, that golf tournament last weekend?
Yes, I did.
Did you really? Because
I wasn't able to.
And for me, I only watched highlights because I'll admit it, I'm not desperate enough to watch just anything. When baseball and football and basketball and when they're playing for real, I'm okay. This was more like an exhibition. And by the way, I think it's wonderful that Tiger Woods, who partnered up with Peyton Manning and Phil Mickelson and Tom Brady, were trying to raise money for charity. I think that is outstanding.
Yeah.
I just love true competition. I love it where people really, really, really want to win, and they're not out there laughing and giggling all the time. Their goal was to raise $10 million for COVID-19 relief funds. And so they did a wonderful job, and it was just, those 4 golfers, 2 football players, 2 golfers, playing against each other. What was fascinating about it, and by the way, Tiger and Peyton won. They had a one-up victory. What was fascinating about it, though, I did watch a lot of the highlights, is Charles Barkley, who's one of the most horrible golfers on the planet, was a commentator, and all he did was trash talk Tom Brady. Just ripped him and went at him and gave him a hard time. And Brady's a quarterback, and he's the greatest quarterback of all time. He's been trash talked a few times, but it's a little different when they get out of their element. Brady, while he's a good golfer, is not a great golfer. He's not a pro, and so to be rattled like that is interesting. But Tom Brady got the last laugh. This is Tom Brady with an approach shot. I can't remember how far he's out, but let's just say he's got to be at least 100 yards out. And this is Brady's approach shot while he's got Charles Barkley barking in his ear. Go ahead, Patrick.
Check. Come on, man. I'm going to give you some shots, man. I want some of you.
It'll turn on. Don't worry. It ain't over yet.
Yeah.
Oh, go in! Yeah! Oh, my goodness! Oh, you made it! Wow! Check. Wow!
Hey,
Check.
Hey, man!
Check.
That's
Check.
all too.
Shut your mouth, Check.
Tom Brady with the last laugh. He holed out this shot. It was a beautiful shot.
I love that.
Oh my God!
And Charles
Chuck,
Barkley,
shut your mouth, Chuck. Oh my God!
It's everything Barkley can do to not injure himself seriously when he gets on the golf course. He's such a bad golfer. So that was one of the big highlights of the match. So I'm glad they raised a lot of money. When you think of Tom Brady, of course, this season when the football season starts, and you're going to be thinking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, where Brady is now taking his show. He brought one of his co-stars from the New England Patriots, the formerly retired Rob Gronkowski. Gronkowski had left the Patriots. He'd retired, came out of retirement to go to Tampa Bay to play again because Tom Brady's there. That's a big reason and a good reason to join a team or come out of retirement. But Gronk says, he said this on the Ellen Show recently, that was not the main reason he decided to play for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Patrick?
Everyone keeps asking me, did Tom get you to Tampa? Well, of course it didn't hurt that Tom went to Tampa, and the opportunity to go to Tampa was there too. But Tom was like the appetizer, and then there's a few other reasons. I love the weather, but the main reason why I came down to Tampa to play is because my mother lives 2 hours away. She can get to all my games, all 8 of our home games. Whenever I have days off, she's 2 hours down the street, and I get to see her.
There it is, Rob Gronkowski. The real reason.
His ma'am.
The Tampa Bay is mom could help him pack the car.
Ma.
How sweet of him.
You'll see. Yes, very sweet of Rob Gronkowski, the big caveman football player.
That big meathead.
wants to be close to mom. I get it, man. sons and their moms and their sons. She'll be doing his laundry for him, no doubt. Cooking meals for him. And if it's anything like this house over here. All right. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to see that amazing video of former boxing champion Mike Tyson. He has he's been training apparently.
Yep.
One of the most ferocious fighters of all time. I mean, this guy had a punch. I had a chance to cover several of his fights, including the Evander Holyfield ear-biting fight. So I've been around Tyson a few times. 50 wins, 6 losses. 44 of his wins came by knockout. His career began in '85. He just tore through people. It ended in 2005. There were some classic bouts. And then this training video of him popped up, and he looked like he was in his 20s. He looked like, I don't want to say in the prime of his career, but he looked pretty darn good. And you could almost envision him knocking guys out that are half his age. Now, Tyson is now 53 years old. He was offered more than $20 million recently to fight in one single match by the Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. The Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship offered him $20 million. Tyson apparently turned it down.
Wow.
And they're saying, we think we can get him. So they're probably going to pad that $20 million price tag to get Mike Tyson to come out of retirement. One of the most devastating punchers I've seen in my life. And, boy, let me ask you this, Patrick. Would you take $20 million to get in the ring with Mike Tyson?
Oh, $20 million to get my butt beat by Mike Tyson? Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, I know I'm crazy for saying that because I know just how deadly his punch is. I will definitely jump in there for $20 million.
I get it. I'm with you. I would too for $20 million.
I want to get knocked out by Mike Tyson. That's that's legendary.
Knocked out. But look at it this way: if you get knocked out, it's over.
Yeah, I know.
Right? You just go get your $20 million.
But I could also brag to my family. I could also brag to my family and friends, be like, "Hey, guess who just got knocked out by Mike Tyson and got $20 million for this guy?" I'll totally jump in with there. I love Mike Tyson.
What do you think, Jessy? $20 million? Would you step in the ring with a heavyweight fighter?
Oh, for sure. Obviously.
He's a legend, of course.
I really didn't think you'd answer it quite that way.
Well, me and Jessy are on the same wavelength on this one.
I love it.
I have an older brother, so I'm prepared.
You're used to it. I get it. All right, guys, coming up now, apparently there are cheating scandals in esports. This one involves a pro athlete, however. Plus, he was captured and called a spy, but he's not human, and he's not a machine. And we're going to give away some free stuff. You're listening to My Radio Show with Rick Garcia.
Marston's Restaurant has been a Pasadena landmark, voted the best breakfast in California by the Food Network magazine. Discover Marston's Santa Clarita location, open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Marston's also has a fantastic catering menu that adds a delicious twist to any event. And they cater picnic dinners for that memorable romantic date. Experience Marston's on Newhall Ranch Road and McBean, or log on to marstonsrestaurant.com.
Why did Mercedes-Benz of Valencia win the Dealer of Excellence Award in 2019?
Because we strive to provide the most outstanding sales experience.
Mercedes-Benz of Valencia COO Chris Paz.
We know you have high expectations. Our stellar team will meet and exceed your expectations. That's why we were named Mercedes Best of the Best, placing us in the top 10% of all Mercedes dealers nationwide.
Find out how you can lease a new Mercedes for unbelievably low monthly payments. Details at mbzvalencia.com.
As the stay-at-home order continues, Burger King is committed to following state and federal safety guidelines when it comes to serving you, the customer. Although in-restaurant dining has closed, pickup and delivery service continues. The current hours are 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. You can mobile order through the BK app for pickup, or you can use any of the delivery services like DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub, and Postmates. Burger King on Lyons at the 5 Freeway, now with service at 2 drive-through windows.
Hometown.
All day long, constantly.
Your hometown station, 98.1 FM and AM 1220. Hometown.
Santa Clarita News.
Your community connection.
restaurants reopening, and LA County school guidelines. I'm Jade Abashan. In-person dining, barbershops, and hair salons are now allowed to reopen in Los Angeles County as of Friday afternoon after California Governor Gavin Newsom approved the county's variance request. This move comes after a request from the city of Santa Clarita to Supervisor Catherine Barker and the Board of Supervisors to allow for a variance to reopen. Restaurants are held to the same guidelines that apply to places of worship and indoor shopping centers, with the number of people allowed in an establishment limited to less than 25% of the building's capacity or a maximum of 100 people, whichever is lower. The Los Angeles County Office of Education has released guidelines regarding public schools reopening, including requiring masks and hybrid classes. Both staff and students are expected to arrive at the schools wearing cloth face coverings and to wear them all day, according to the office's guidelines. While hybrid classes are preferred, in-person classes are encouraged to use outdoor spaces, weather permitting, to allow more students to be spread apart. For more on these stories and other local news, head on over to hometownstation.com. And now taking a look at your local hometown weather. We've got a little bit of rain today, which will gradually taper off with big temperature swings expected for the rest of the day. Highs in low 80s and overnight lows in the mid-50s. For anything Santa Clarita related, follow us on social media at KHTS Radio.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.
You're preaching to the choir, heading on yourself. Quit playing with your mind, you're spinning. If you think that I'm a lie, just try it for yourself.
Welcome back to my radio show. I'm Rick Garcia, along with Jessy Holen, Patrick Sweeka. Jessy, if folks want to join us, how can they do that?
If you're listening at home and you want to be a part of the show, you can post us on Facebook at KHTS Radio or give us a call at 661-298-5487.
Time for Rick's Replay.
Well, let me do this. And there we go.
Rick's Replay.
이건 기록일 뿐인 거고. 그리고 잡아당겼습니다. 우익수 뒤로 오른쪽 타구는 하나 기선제압 솔로 홈런 1대0으로 한화는 한화 이글스입니다.
Highlights from the Korean Baseball Organization. That was someone, and I did look up the name and the number, from the Hanwha Eagles hitting a solo home run, but it wasn't enough as the LG Twins defeated the Eagles by a score of 15-4.
Wow.
Take another look. Let's hear it again.
Hold up.
이건 기록일 뿐인 거고. 그리고 잡아당겼습니다. 우익수 뒤로 오른쪽 타구는 하나 기선제압 솔로 홈런 1대0으로 한화는 한화 이글스입니다.
I love that solo home run.
Solo home
you know, it's funny how the play-by-play works in other languages. I always love to hear how the sounds of the game are in different languages. And we talked about, we had the great Bob Miller on in the first hour of our show. He's the Hall of Fame broadcaster for the Kings. But another one of my favorite people, and maybe we'll have him on the show one of these days too, is the great Jaime Jarrín. Jaime Jarrín has been doing Dodger broadcasts in Spanish forever, has an amazing voice, and his play-by-play is just so much fun to listen to. But you always hear certain expressions in English because they haven't figured out a way to translate some words. Like home run is that's an American expression because it's a baseball hit with the bases loaded. So certain words they don't translate; they just say them in English. So I just always get a kick out of that. That was fun. Here's what's news to me, guys.
News to me.
Jessy, Patrick, are either one of you guys video game nuts? Do you like to play video games?
Oh, yeah. I'm a huge nerd. I'm a huge video game nerd.
Jessy says no. What's your favorite game, Patrick?
Favorite game? Oh, Lord. I'd say probably it's going to be a Pokemon.
It's interesting. My daughter number 2, she was up till like almost midnight last night playing the FIFA, the soccer FIFA.
I do like sports games too.
And she doesn't play video games a lot, but for some reason she just had the urge. Her soccer team had like a Zoom meeting, and so she just got really anxious to play, so she started playing the FIFA, and so there I was going to tell her to go to bed, but then I wound up sitting in there watching her play a little while. So she loves that. My son always loved the Mario Brothers stuff, and he's really good at that stuff. people are making a living out of this esports stuff and some of these video games, but they're, because of all the sports suspensions, all the leagues that are suspended right now because of the pandemic, there have been lots of esport competitions involving real athletes. You'll have NBA players going against other NBA players. You got driving. You'll have NASCAR drivers against NASCAR drivers.
Right.
There's also a case of a Formula One driver by the name of Daniel Abt, who was racing. They were racing for charity, $10,000 for charity.
Huh.
Daniel Abt got suspended by the car sponsor, that sponsors his driving is Audi. He races for Audi.
Uh-huh.
They suspended him because he cheated during a charity esports event. Yeah, here's what he did though. He got this professional gamer to race under his name. And the gamer was just crushing everybody. So instead of him racing against another race car driver who wouldn't be as good as a professional gamer, likely, he got this professional gamer to play. And he said he later had to issue an apology. He said, listen, I didn't take it as seriously as I should have. He didn't realize what a big deal it was. They were trying to win money. They were trying to win money for charity.
That's true. I mean, it's like, yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, yeah, I mean, like, he didn't mean any harm by it, but at the same time, like, come on, man. But it was also, he's trying to win it for a charity, so it's like trying to tip the scales. Like, it's bad, but it's kind of good, but it's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, all right. Moving on. This is an interesting story. There's a history of hatred between the countries of India and Pakistan. I mean, they just have been at war off and on over the years, throughout the decades. It goes back so far that it's one of those relationships you don't know if it'll ever get to be close to perfect. They'd be happy to just get along, and some years they do. But there was an incident of spying that took place. Now that may not surprise you if you've got two countries that don't get along very well. They probably attempt to spy on each other all the time. So what happened was apparently India detained the spy, and they now have the spy behind bars in India. The spy, it turns out, is a pigeon.
Wait.
What?
The spy is a pigeon. They captured this pigeon. The pigeon, I guess the pigeon flew into somebody's home by mistake, and the person whose home it went in, they noticed that the pigeon was painted pink, and it was carrying a coated ring tagged to its foot when it flew into her house. So she called. So police were called. They apprehended the suspect. Put the suspect behind bars because apparently that's a very common thing to send pigeons because carrier pigeons are pretty smart. They're really good at transferring stuff if you want them to.
Yeah.
And this coded ring is one attempt that they apparently is not uncommon for these countries to send back and forth to get information to their spies that are embedded in those countries. So I hope the pigeon gets a good last meal. And
me too.
There's we've been going into space now for quite a long time, and as a result of that, we have all kinds of trash up there. They call it space debris, and there's all kinds of just junk, space junk, things that have fallen off of. There are satellites up there, and pieces of satellite, and pieces of other things that have gone through space up there. And so the United Kingdom Space Agency, UXA, they're challenging people. If people come up with some ideas, they're going to throw out some money as like £1 million, which is close to $1 million.
Wow.
They're going to dispense grants to anybody who has a solution on how to clean up the space debris out there. So if you guys have any ideas, and here's the problem with the space debris is, when we send rockets into space, if you get hit by some debris, it can really be disastrous. So if you guys have any good ideas on how to collect the space debris, there's a job waiting for you.
Use the force.
Perfect. Thank you. I needed that.
I figured you would. One of the things I was hoping to have in the show today was we were going to do the launch. There was supposed to be a launch earlier this week Elon Musk's one of his many companies. He owns SpaceX, which, by the way, is right there in Hawthorne, California, where they're building these rockets. We've privatized the space industry. It used to be run through the government, through NASA, and we still have NASA still does a lot of space work for the country.
Right.
But now private companies have gotten into the games, and the private companies are spending the money, and Elon Musk has made it clear he wants to eventually send man to Mars, and he wants to colonize Mars at some point, and he keeps saying that. In fact, Patrick, I think it's important that you know that I did buy you a ticket to Mars.
Yes.
That's the good news. The bad news is it's only a one-way ticket. So,
do I have food?
I hope you'll enjoy your trip.
I mean, do I have food and
they have,
and
I think they have
games
Martian
and stuff?
berries or something like that.
Sweet.
So SpaceX, and I don't know if you guys know this, we have not sent astronauts or people into space for almost a decade.
Wow.
I did not
What
know
happens
that.
is if we want to send people to the space station, because we stopped our shuttle program years ago,
Yeah.
and if we want to send people up to the International Space Station there, we have to fly them to Russia, and then they launch from Russia to go into space. So on 2 days ago or 3 days ago, it was going to be the first launch of humans into space from American soil for the first time in almost 10 years, and it was going to be launched by a private company, which is SpaceX, Elon Musk's company. And the interesting thing about it is, because it's a private company now, and Musk, I think fancies himself a designer apparently, but he created these really silly new space suits that the astronauts are wearing. I mean, at least I think they're kind of silly looking. I love the effort that they want to do something that makes astronauts look different.
Yeah.
But did you either one of you see? Were you guys watching when they were attempting the launch?
No, I did not.
No.
Jesse? Well, they scrubbed it because of bad weather. And if you have poor weather, you only have a certain window by which you can launch, because the launch was in Florida. When they launch into space, they need a window that has good weather, but it also has to be when the International Space Station is orbiting above us, so that the journey is a shorter journey. You use less fuel. So that's why there are certain windows. So it's supposed to be actually tomorrow at about 1:30. They will attempt the launch again and see if that works. So that's something
so cool.
You guys should try to watch that. I think NASA will stream it online, I think, but I'm guessing that your cable news will probably break away and cut in to see an actual launch of a spaceship from Florida that's going to head out to the International Space Station, and they'll meet up with some of the Russians who are already up there in space. So
probably.
With that in mind, that's going to be related to our free stuff question. You ready to give away some free stuff?
Yeah.
Free stuff.
First person to call 661-298-5487 with the right answer, or post us on Facebook Live at KHTS Radio, will win a $25 gift card from Hanu Coffee. So, again, Wednesday, the SpaceX Crew Dragon was going to launch the first time with American astronauts from U.S. soil in 9 years. It didn't happen. It will happen tomorrow, hopefully. The team of two will meet up with their Russian counterparts. What do the Russians call their crew? Pilots, astronauts, cosmonauts, or donnauts? Be the first to call 661-298-5487 or post us on Facebook Live. You'll win a $25 gift card from Hanu Coffee. What do the Russians call their crew that goes into space? Are they called pilots, astronauts, cosmonauts, or donnauts? That is clearly a generational thing.
Why do I
getting
get
no laughter from the audience?
No, I'm laughing.
Coming up, the time Chris Evans did not want to be Captain America. Plus, the comedy that has broken records. The name may surprise you. You're listening to My Radio Show with Rick Garcia.
Comfort Keepers provides your loved one with loving in-home care.
Miles McNamara, certified senior advisor and owner of Comfort Keepers in-home care.
Our caregivers can help you in your own home, enhancing independence, creating safety and comfort. Our Comfort Keepers provide companionship, meal preparation, medication reminders, assistance with personal care, and even transportation to doctor's appointments. If someone you love can use a helping hand at home, visit comfortkeepers.com.
or call 287-4200.
Frontier Toyota, a proud supporter of my radio show with Rick Garcia, serving the Santa Clarita Valley for over 30 years. Experience Frontier Toyota's all-new hot and exciting 2020 Toyota lineup. Frontier Toyota, the Camry, Corolla, and Prius Kings. They're tops in Tacoma and Tundra trucks. Frontier Toyota, the new way of car buying. Shop from home at frontiertoyota.com or visit their showroom at Valencia and Creekside. Discover a whole new car buying experience with your friends at Frontier Toyota.
These days, it's hard to figure out how to fill all the self-isolation time, let alone figure out what to have for lunch or dinner. Salt Creek Grill owner Greg Amsler is helping us out in a big, big way. Salt Creek is now offering takeout and curbside pickup, so you don't even have to get out of your car. Now, if you'd like, you could stay at home. They participate with Uber Eats, Postmates, DoorDash, and Grubhub. Their entire menu is available for pickup or delivery, including to-go beer and wine. Hey. In addition, Greg's offering wine at 25% off, along with daily specials. If you'd like to buy a gift card for a future visit, now's the time. Buy a $50 gift card and get $10 extra on the card completely free. Buy a $100 gift card, you get an extra $25. Salt Creek Grill, located next to Regal Cinema at the Valencia Mall. For more info, go to saltcreekgrill.com.
Why did Mercedes-Benz of Valencia win the Dealer of Excellence Award in 2019?
Because we strive to provide the most outstanding sales experience.
Mercedes-Benz of Valencia COO Chris Paz.
We know you have high expectations. Our stellar team will meet and exceed your expectations. That's why we were named Mercedes Best of the Best, placing us in the top 10% of all Mercedes dealers nationwide.
Find out how you can lease a new Mercedes for unbelievably low monthly payments. Details at mbzvalencia.com.
Your hometown station.
As soon as I leave my house in Saugus, I always turn on KHTS for the latest traffic updates.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.
Oh, I was enjoying that Earth, Wind, and Fire.
I know, right?
All right.
It's
and
like,
I'm having
I
a
love
miserable
Let's
day on
Groove.
Who Am I? Who am I?
Who am I?
Celebrity
Who am
birthdays,
I?
Jesse. You got me good last time, Jesse. Let's see if I can redeem myself. Go ahead.
You can do it, Rick. This first one
Okay.
is a small forward and power forward for the Portland Trail Blazers. He's a 10-time NBA All-Star, 2-time NBA Second Team, 4-time
It's not Damian Lillard, is it?
No, it's not.
Okay.
A 4-time All-NBA Third Team, NBA Scoring Champion, and NBA All-Rookie First Team. He played college ball at Syracuse, where he won an NCAA championship and an NCAA Final Four Most Outstanding Player Award in 2003. His number 15 jersey was then...
Well, this is, okay,
Yeah.
for some reason, I thought, so that's not a current player. I thought it was a current, you were talking about a current player.
He is a current player, but I'm going...
LaMarcus Aldridge?
No.
Ooh, I thought it was him too.
That was a good one, huh?
That is a good one. Ooh.
Thank you. I'll be here all week.
I thought it was him too, Rick.
Gosh, I'm thinking of the two best-known Trailblazers
Yeah.
for the last would be those two guys.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Maybe there's more. Let's see.
He entered the NBA in 2003 and played for the Denver Nuggets until 2011. He then went to the Knicks until 2017 before trading to the Thunder for a year, and then the Houston Rockets for another year, and then the Trailblazers since 2019.
Oh, I know who that is.
Hang on a second.
He has also played.
I'm gonna give you time on this, Rick, because it's a really you would know this one.
Well, you keep interrupting when she's giving me clues.
I'm
Patrick.
sorry.
What was the? Well, that's okay. What's your clue? This last clue you were saying?
He also played in the Olympics for Team USA 4 times, winning a bronze medal in 2004 and then gold medals in 2008, 2012, and 20.
When you were talking about the Knicks, you said something. There was a clue during his trade to the Knicks. What was that?
While with the Knicks, he scored a career high of 62 points in one game, setting the Knicks' single-game scoring record and the Madison Square Garden single-game scoring record.
And what did you say before that?
He went to the New York Knicks until 2017 before being traded to the Thunder for a year, and then the Rockets for another year, and then landed at the Trailblazers in 2019.
I'm gonna let Lowry, Kyle Lowry.
No.
All right, go ahead, Patrick. Go ahead.
It's Carmelo Anthony.
Oh, Carmelo Anthony. Oh my God.
I know. I'm like, that's why I'm like, Rick. No, come on.
Well, you know what? It's because of all the teams he's been on.
Yeah.
Since I mean, he was we all knew him as a Nugget, and then things went downhill from there. All right. Oh, I'm having a rough. Do we have one more?
Two more.
We have two more. That was.
Cue the music.
Hold up.
All
there
right,
we go.
Ahead, Jesse.
This one is an English singer-songwriter who was a part of the Spice Girls. During the Spice Girls hiatus, she released her debut solo album, which was titled Hot.
I don't know any of these girls. Jerry Halliwell?
No, just keep naming them.
The one that was on America's Got Talent?
Yes.
The one that was on...
I don't think that's her name.
The one that was America's Got Talent. America's Got Talent, the Spice Girl.
Uh-huh.
Mel B, my son says.
Yes.
Thank you, son.
There we
Son
go.
number one.
Ding.
Mel B, I cheated on that one, so you got to give me a buzzer.
All right.
Give me the buzzer. All right.
All right,
last
here we go.
one.
Let's go out with a bang.
Let's go out with a
This is a forward for the Portland Thorns and also a member of the U.S. women's national team. She is known as one of the most skilled and craftiest players on the field with her footwork and unpredictable play on the ball.
Alex Morgan?
No. She played college
Rapinoe?
soccer. No.
Rapinoe?
Incorrect.
Let's see. Go ahead.
She played college soccer for the North Carolina Tar Heels, where she helped her team win 3 NCAA championships.
The other one. The one in the middle.
That's her name,
on the side of the field, Rick. She's a winger forward.
Okay. Is she the one that flops all the time too? I think. She's always hurt on the field. Always. Okay. I give up. Who is it?
Tobin Heath.
Oh, I wouldn't have gotten that one.
And you get a.
She's married to who's she married? She's married to somebody like an NFL player, right, or something?
No, that's Ertz. That's Zach Ertz's wife.
That's Julie Ertz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Julie Ertz. Okay. Man, I'll tell you what. I better quit while I'm behind. We don't have. Please tell me we don't have any more. I got 1 out of 6 today.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
That's a bad one.
All right, let's do this. Time for my headlines.
My headlines.
My headlines are brought to you by Frontier Toyota. For the first time in its 124-year history, the Boston Marathon is canceled. The race, originally scheduled for April 20th, was postponed due to the pandemic. Organizers will instead have a virtual event where runners who verify that they ran 26.2 miles on their own receive their finisher's medal. Major League Baseball still hoping to get payroll concessions from its players. The players have already agreed to a prorated salary. Owners now want steeper cuts, as much as 60%. For the top-paid players. So far, the Players Union is balking. And the NHL's idea of resuming play would be to go straight to the playoffs. The league would expand the number of playoff teams from 16 to 24 and then hold a play-in tournament for the other 16 teams. Based on their regular season records, the Kings and Ducks would not qualify for the postseason. Are you not entertained?
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
In a Hollywood Minute.
Are you not entertained?
This comedy has broken the record for longest-running series as it returns for a 15th season. Now, if you already know the answer to this, don't answer it. But if you don't know the answer, take a guess. What comedy do you think that is?
Oh,
Jesse, any ideas?
15th season. I have no idea. I cannot think
This is
of
going to be a
anything.
tough one. It's going to be a tough one. Go ahead, Patrick. Real tough one.
A comedy show that's been on for 15 seasons.
Yeah, that's non-animated, so live action.
Live action comedy.
And it broke the record, by the way, that was held by The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet in the 50s and 60s.
Oh.
Is it still ongoing, or is this...
Yes, it is. Yeah,
wow.
It's going to do its 15th season, thus the record.
A Arnold came out a little bit on that one.
Okay, I'll tell you.
I got nothing.
It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh,
it's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
goodness.
Danny DeVito and Charlie Day.
Oh, I feel so mad at myself.
Isn't that wild?
That is
that's
wild.
It just flew under the radar.
Yeah, it
Good
did.
for them.
I love Always
Good for
Sunny.
them. Now, did you know that Chris Evans almost did not play Captain America? In fact,
Yes.
he turned down the role.
Oh.
He
What?
had really bad anxiety and panic attacks, and so he said, "I can't do this movie." And then, fortunately, he changed his mind and accepted the part, and he says it was the best decision that he has ever made. How do you
Yeah.
like that?
Aw.
I'm glad he got over that.
Are you guys
too.
Game of Thrones fans, either one of you?
Of course, huge.
No.
Author George R.R. Martin, who wrote the Game of Thrones stories,
right?
Apparently he has invested. He's gone in with two co-investors, and they purchased an abandoned 18-mile part of the Santa Fe Railroad.
Huh.
Oh, cool.
So they bought, and it's interesting. It includes 2 locomotives, 10 train cars, and a historic station house that is currently used by Amtrak. And they're going to use that. They want to keep it as a monument, but they're going to also use it for sightseeing film shoots as well. Pretty cool, huh?
That's pretty cool, yeah.
I told you guys the movies that were on demand. The High Note is going to be kicking off, I think, tonight. The Road's Not Taken. You can find those on demand. But also I want to tell you what I think is a terrific story of generosity. They're making lots of cuts in the minor leagues. They are telling players right and left in minor league baseball, we can't pay you, Major League Baseball. So if a Major League Baseball team owns or has a relationship with minor league teams, they're saying, listen, we're not doing business right now. We can't keep paying you. So the Oakland Athletics, for example, recently decided to cease payments at the end of this week, and they think that other teams are going to follow suit. The Dodgers had already committed to continuing their $400 a week payments for minor leaguers. Minor leaguers don't make a lot of money unless they're a player that's got a big signing bonus, but they're usually in the major leagues very quickly. But here's the neatest part of this. David Price, who has yet to play a game for the Dodgers,
right,
is gonna pay every Dodger minor leaguer $1,000 for the month of June.
Aw.
Oh, wow.
Awesome, huh?
That's pretty cool.
He's going to pay every Dodger minor league, and I'm going to guess because you have now, keep in mind there's 1,000 minor league players, but in the Dodgers organization, I'm going to say it's probably around 100. Usually you have around 25 per team, and assuming they have 4 teams, you got about 100, and they may have more than that because you got rookie teams and all that sort of stuff. So how about that? A Major League Baseball player remembering his roots, going to give $1,000 to minor league baseball players.
I like that.
In the Dodgers organization. Very cool. That'll help for the month of June for some of those guys. Okay, sports starting to get going again. La Liga, which is a huge European soccer league which features the great Messi, is going to start up on June 11th. They've made the announcement that they're going to start playing soccer on June 11th. That's the league that involves you've got Real Madrid, Barcelona. You've got some great soccer going on there. They'll they'll play in front of in empty stadiums. So that's kind of neat. But also, and this sort of went under the radar a little bit, the National Women's Soccer League announced that they are going to start playing soccer at the end of June.
Heck yeah!
The National Women's Soccer League. On June 27th, they will actually be the first U.S. sports team to return to play.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
There you go, Jesse. Just like the women to kind of lead the way, right? To have the courage.
Oh, my gosh. Shout out to the women.
Yep. Especially when it comes to soccer, man. Do they not? Boy, they represent when it comes to soccer in this country, don't they?
Oh, my gosh. They're my heroes. Like, really. They're awesome.
Well, I know we're getting close to the end of the show here, right, Patrick? If my math is right.
Yep.
So I will do this then. I will say thank you to the great Hall of Fame announcer Bob Miller from the Kings joining us to talk a little hockey with us and his history. Patrick Suika, Jesse Holan, you guys have a great weekend. Hey, is Aaron Della Torre going to be in the studio?
He is going to be.
Spinning? Is he going to be spinning records, as we used to say?
As
in my DJ
usual.
days? Spinning records?
DJ De La Torre.
I don't even think you guys know what a record is.
I know what a record is. Come on.
Thanks
Come
for
on.
hanging with us on my radio show with Rick Garcia. We'll see you next Friday, 1 to 3 p.m. Have a great weekend. Luke.